Boom, we gotta react, y'all. It says every NFL season of the 2000 explained in 27 minutes. You know I'm a football head, so I definitely want to see this shit. I ain't gonna lie. Just to go in depth, I'm sure they're gonna probably just say the seasons, like what the Super Bowl was and all that shit. So, all my football heads, including me, we gonna refresh this shit and just see how football was when it was actually 2010s leading to 2020s. At the beginning, it was still genuine football. Niggas getting their head knocked off, no flags, no softness. Before college football NIL, this was when football was at its purest fucking presentation. You feel me? So I'm interested to see that. I low key wanted to do the 2000s to the 2000. They got a video. We could probably do that next. Of every NFL seasons of the 2000s. Me being a Steeler fan, I would love to see that because nigga, we got 2 Super Bowls in that motherfucker. We don't got no Super Bowls in this video, so I'm gonna just say that we got a Super Bowl loss, which is gonna piss me off when we lost to the fucking Packers. But yeah, they
interceptions to win MVP, and that Michael Vick returned to deliver one of the most electrifying comebacks in NFL history. 2010 didn't have one dominant narrative. It was scattered and a bit unpredictable. It was the kind of season where everything, from seeding to momentum, got thrown out the window once January started. And there was commotion off the field as well. The collective bargaining agreement was set to expire, and the threat of a lockout loomed. But on the field, the Patriots went 4.
I ain't gonna lie, Tom with the what do you call that? It's not a mullet, but like Tom, I remember on this time when Tom had the hair hanging out the back. I ain't gonna lie, he was on demon time, and this when all the allegations of the cheating and shit happened. But Tom with the hair hanging out the back was a demon. I ain't gonna lie, like 2 to 3 gens at Tom. They all Hall of Famers, but this I remember this.
14-2.
And this is just when quarterbacks was just, bro. It was so many Hall of Fame quarterbacks, bro. Drew Brees, you got the Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning. Fucking, bro, that was loaded, bro.
Behind Tom Brady's unanimous MVP campaign, but they flamed out immediately in the playoffs. Stunned at home by the 6 seed Jets, Arian Foster came out of nowhere.
Fucking 6 seed Jets. Hey, I don't hate, but if it's a team that I would hate that this organization just can't get it right. Look, bro, I'm a Steeler fan, and we ain't got it right in a long time. We get a lot of losing seasons and shit. I mean, we get a lot of winning seasons, and Tomlin never had a losing seasons, but like playoff wise is bad. We are, and then it's annoying for the Steelers. Like, and I know all my fans feel me on this. It's like we're good enough to have a winning season, so we're never gonna get a high draft pick, bro. But in the same token, even though we don't get the same draft pick, it'd be like, nigga, we don't make a playoff run, so it's like we're not getting benefits of nothing, nigga. We can't even get a real, genuine top pick to rebuild anything we need to rebuild because we win. And, like, I love Tomlin, but it's like he's low-key aiding us to not be able to, like, you feel me, get that rebuild because he just a good coach. He's not going to lose, bro. So it's like, I don't know, bro. I hate to say it as a Steeler fan. I'm going to try not to yap, bro. Y'all gotta understand I love football, so I'm going to speak on shit. As a Steeler fan, bro, I love Tomlin, but it's low-key, like, we might need to change that coach to get that real, like, I don't know. And same thing as Tomlin, bro. Y'all see what happened to Andy Reid when that nigga left the fucking Eagles to go to the Chiefs? That rebirth for him, that nigga went hard. That might what Tomlin needed, what we might need, but I would hate to see it happen because nigga I love Tomlin, bro. Anybody part of the Steelers fan base, team, anything, Tomlin is that guy. That's the reason why you play for them. Like, Hall of Fame coach. For sure.
Where to lead the NFL in rushing with 1,600 yards and 16 touchdowns, giving the Texans a real offensive identity for the first time in franchise history. The Colts and Ravens were still clinging to AFC supremacy, but the Steelers reminded everyone that they knew how to get it done in the playoffs. Big Ben returned from a 4-game suspension and led Pittsburgh back to the Super Bowl with a team that just refused to break.
I remember that suspension, man. Around that time, I was young. I was 11 years old, but nigga, I still knew shit. And I just had, that was around the time I had to defend Ben from family, people just talking about him, because that's when he had that little, we don't know the details of the charge, but he pissed somewhere he wasn't supposed to piss, I guess. I don't know. That's where that suspension came from, though. But Visor Ben was a motherfucker, bruh. And I'm mad we didn't get a fucking ring out of that, but he was, I don't know the fact check it, but this was around the time in one of these seasons, bro, he threw for 500 yards twice, back to back weeks, like 6 touchdowns, 5 to 6 touchdowns. Like, this was a prime era of Ben right here. Shit, Ben's whole career was really prime. I ain't gonna lie. Call it blazing or not, and I may be biased, but Ben was always that guy, man. And that's why we suffering from it, bro. We just haven't been able to regain a real franchise quarterback since this nigga left, bro.
Break. James Harrison and Troy Polamalu still led that defense. In the NFC, the Falcons were the 1 seed, the Saints were the defending champs, and the Eagles had Michael Vick back in full form, throwing bombs and rewriting his legacy after returning from prison. But it was the Packers, a 10-6 wildcard team that barely snuck into the playoffs, who caught fire. Rodgers, who hadn't won an
Mike Vick, all odds against him, did a year in prison, came out and straight took Donovan McNabb's starting position and put belt to ass to niggas immediately. We don't talk about that enough. When this nigga was in the process of getting canceled, this nigga regained status in the NFL, bro. We got to get another round of applause for that. ESPN and everybody was crucifying this nigga around this time, bro. And he turned it around, bro.
MVP yet, played the best football of his life. He shredded the Eagles, lit up the Falcons, and survived a brutal NFC Championship game in Chicago, where Jay Cutler exited early and Caleb Haney nearly pulled off a miracle. And the Super Bowl was not quite a classic, but it was a good game. Rodgers and Roethlisberger certainly made for a spectacular showdown. The Steelers came back from a 21-3 hole, but Rodgers was just too precise. He finished with 304 yards, 3 touchdowns, and
this was 2 years after we beat the Cardinals, bro. Like, just knew we was going. And you know what's crazy? They're probably gonna say we came back in this game, bro. We didn't look good early, but we came back and almost won, bro. You know what's crazy? Since we just speaking on that, it's like Rashard Mendenhall, that fumble that you gave to the Packers changed the whole game of that game. You switched momentum. When we were going down the drive and we were scoring, coming back, that fumble changed the whole outlook of that game, nigga. Did a lot of good for us in the black and yellow, nigga, but lost us a Super Bowl, nigga.
And the Super Bowl MVP. The Packers were champions for the first time since Brett Favre's prime. The Jets' window slammed shut, and the Patriots, over a half-decade removed from their last Super Bowl victory, started getting labeled as a regular season team. But Rodgers became a made man, with the Packers looking like they might be the NFL's next dynasty. However, in 2011, it felt like every elite quarterback was throwing for 5,000 yards.
They give Rodgers a lot of credit for that win. That defense was fucking crazy, bro. That defense carried that team. Aaron Rodgers wasn't even like, he was blooming, he was getting better and shit, but that defense carried them niggas, bro.
Calvin Johnson was single-handedly taking over games and mossing triple coverages. Tim Tebow became the biggest superstar in the league. And if you're a Patriots fan, you might still have nightmares thinking about Mario Manningham.
I remember that shit.
The lockout dominated the summer, and at first,
you know what's so crazy? The hype around Tebow was like out of college, so you feel me? He kept the hype from college, but like, Tebow couldn't throw a fucking rock in a big ass pond, bro. He couldn't really throw the ball like that. First of all, this nigga Tebow threw the ball like a fucking pitcher. He did not have a natural form, bro. This nigga used to throw. So he left. This nigga used to throw like this, bro. Nigga threw. Nigga acting like he wiped his shit off the table. That nigga was throwing That nigga had no fault. That nigga just threw the ball like how he thought he could. He said, fuck form. And yeah, I'm hating because them niggas knocked us out that one year. We was supposed to win that year too. They gonna talk about that when they knocked us out and they had that crazy overtime win against us, nigga. So yeah, I'm probably biased hating on that shit. But Tebow wasn't really an accurate thrower, bro. He just had real height.
First, it looked like there might not be football at all. But once the CBA got signed and the games finally started, it was business as usual. Except for the fact that QBs were shredding defenses at will. Cam Newton had the best rookie quarterback season ever. Drew Brees threw for 5,476 yards. Tom Brady threw for 5,200. Stafford crossed 5,002. And Aaron Rodgers didn't hit that mark, but he had the best season of them all. 45 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions, a record 122.5 passer rating, and an MVP trophy to go with a 15-1 record for the Packers. Green Bay looked completely untouchable all year. But come playoff time, everyone started back at zero. And when the lights came on in January, the Packers folded. The Giants walked into Lambeau and knocked off the defending champs 37-20. Just like they did 4 years earlier. The Giants snuck into the playoffs as a wild card once again and turned into a completely different team overnight. In the AFC, Tim Tebow stunned the football world in the wild card round, throwing an 8.
That's the fucking game I was talking about. Oh, that was the heartbreaking loss. Fuck, I was pissed, bro. That was the year we had it together, bro. We looked like we wanted to go right back to the Super Bowl, bro. Fucking Tebow. RIP to Demaryius Thomas though, but nigga.
80-yard touchdown to Demaryius Thomas on the first play of overtime to beat the Steelers, instantly becoming one of the most improbable playoff moments in NFL history.
Damn, look how
but
young
ultimately,
Tomlin was.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is
there.
I was gonna say that.
We watched Tomlin
came
grow
down to the
older as
Patriots
fuck.
and Ravens. Brady had weapons once again.
First of all, that mustache is criminal work. I'll never remember Flacco having that
History.
mustache.
But ultimately, it came down to the Patriots and Ravens.
That is a diabolical look on him. And I see why I didn't want to remember it. If I did remember, I'll try to wipe it from my memory because he looks like what in the goddamn tarnation?
Ravens. Brady
That looks like that's all he says with that mustache.
had weapons once again. Gronk had the best season ever by a tight end. Wes Welker was still Wes Welkering, and Belichick didn't have a little lady distracting him. But the Ravens almost had them. However, Lee Evans dropped the game winner, Billy Cundiff missed the gimme, and New England somehow survived. Then Super Bowl 46 was a rematch of Super Bowl 42, and it played out almost the exact same way too. The Patriots had the lead late in a low-scoring game, and the Giants needed a miracle. So Eli Manning dropped a perfect pass over 2 defenders down the sideline to Mario Manningham. It was their helmet catch 2.0. Then a few plays later, Ahmad Bradshaw accidentally scored, and the Patriots ran out of time, losing 21-17. The Giants proved again that once you're in, anything is possible. Eli Manning now had 2 rings, both over Tom Brady, and both in near identical fashion. The Patriots dynasty was in a serious drought, and New York fans had all the ammo they'd ever need in any Brady debate.
That's Tom's kryptonite,
But the 2012 season,
of course, he's the GOAT. But that nigga has nightmares about Eli Manning. Can't tell me he don't.
season began in disastrous fashion, as the NFL had a lockout of their official referees, replacing them with unprepared off-brand officials who quickly became the laughingstock of America. The debacle peaked with the infamous Fail Mary on Monday Night Football, when a blown call handed the Seahawks a win over the Packers, and forced the league to bring the real referees back. And this season was historic for quarterbacks once again, the league to bring the real...
They called this the pick, bro. This nigga, the Seahawks, who was his Tate? He never had the ball.
Referees back.
Nigga, this is nowhere in his possession. The Green Bay nigga has the whole ball. Ooh, I would be mad as hell if I'm a Packers fan.
And this season was historic for quarterbacks once again, but not the ones you'd expect. Not Brady, Manning, or Breeze. This was the year the new kids took over. Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson, and most of all, Robert Griffin III.
Yeah, I was gonna say
RG3 was amazing, making the read option look revolutionary. And so began a serious shift toward mobile quarterbacks.
Fuck, man,
This
RG
rookie
one of
class
them.
was
RG3
insane.
one of them
Andrew
stories
Luck took a
like
2-14 Colts
what
team
he
to the
could have been.
playoffs.
Andrew Luck
Russell
too,
Wilson
bro.
led Seattle to an 11-5
Like,
season,
imagine what
and
the league would've
RG3
been if
ended
they
the
would've
regular
not
season
had
on
them
a 7-game win
devastating
streak.
injuries, bro.
But the young signal caller who made the biggest impact by season's end was not any of them. It was second-year backup turned starter Colin Kaepernick. Midway through the season, Alex Smith got hurt, prompting Kaepernick to step in and light it up. Jim Harbaugh kept rolling with him even once Smith got healthy, and the 49ers never looked back. His speed, arm, and command of the pistol offense, it was something no one in the league had ever really
That nigga
seen.
was fast
And with a
as hell,
dominant
bro.
defense led by Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, and Alden Smith, San Francisco was suddenly the scariest team in the league.
Bro, let's think about how many times the Rams. Think about if the Niners would have won half of the, maybe not even half, a quarter of the Super Bowl appearances or the good seasons they had when they made it to the Super Bowl or NFC Championship, bro, they would be a crazy dynasty, bro. The Niners, even to this day, like back when Purdy played fucking Mahomes, it's like them niggas done made it to the Super Bowl or the conference championship a lot, and they have not one ring to show for it. Think about that. These niggas haven't won a ring since nigga Jerry Rice was on the roster. Or was Jerry Rice with Steve Young? Hey Siri, when was the last time that the 49ers won the Super Bowl and who was the quarterback and the receiver? Them niggas ain't won since '94, bro. So they did have Jerry Rice, bro, and that's fucking crazy. But how many appearances? So boom. Hey Siri, how many appearances in the Super Bowl or the conference championship did the 49ers have since 1995? Bro, the Niners have the most appearances in the NFC Championship game at 19. And they hosted 11 of them, nigga. That's crazy. And they were in the Super Bowl a lot, bro. Championship and did not make it. It's wild as fuck.
Calvin Johnson broke the single-season receiving record for the Lions, but in Minneapolis, Adrian Peterson was making everyone rethink whether or not he was actually human. Coming off a torn ACL and MCL, he ran for 2,097 yards,
Went crazy.
8 yards shy of the
nigga.
all-time single-season record, and carried the Vikings to the playoffs. It was the greatest running back season in league history, and it earned him the MVP. Over in Denver, Peyton Manning was back, now in a Broncos jersey with a surgically repaired neck. But you wouldn't have been able to tell by watching him. The Broncos won 13 games and secured the 1 seed in the AFC, setting up what felt like the start of a new golden age in Denver. But in the playoffs, everything went sideways once again. The Texans started the year 11-1 and looked like Super Bowl contenders, thanks to J.J. Watt turning into perhaps the most destructive defensive player of the century to this point.
They saying defense. Let's not forget, around this time, they was passing this nigga the ball too, bro. This nigga was scoring goal line fades too as a big ass, buff ass defensive end, bro. I'm pretty sure he almost won an MVP too.
But lost 3 of their last 4 and were routed in the divisional round. RG3's career was pretty much ended before it got off the ground as he tore his ACL in the wildcard round, and the Broncos got stunned
Never
by
was the
Joe
same
Flacco,
again. I
who
don't
launched
think
the
he ever played a
mile-high
snap
miracle
after that,
past
though.
Raheem Moore to tie the game, leading to a Baltimore win in double overtime. And the Ravens went on a roll, crushing New England in the AFC title game and giving Ray Lewis a chance at a storybook send-off in his final playoff run. And Super Bowl 47 was the Harbaugh
Look,
Bowl.
Again, 49ers in the Super Bowl again. We know we're gonna see how it went, but this is old. We know what happened. These niggas lost against the Ravens, bro. It's like them niggas were making it far into not just sealing the deal, bro. And then I remember this run, bro. Joe Flacco, bro. Joe Flacco has an NFL run, like the same type of run in the NFL, like how Dirk had that crazy ring when he beat Bron, Kobe, and fucking all of them niggas, juggernauts. Flacco had the same identical run, but in the NFL, nigga beat Andrew Luck when he was a dog, beat Brady, Manning, and then he beat a Hall of Fame 49ers defense. Legendary run. And it wasn't like he was just getting carried. Yeah, they had a Ray Lewis, they had that defense. This nigga was outplaying the quarterbacks too, though. Like, we don't talk about that run. Like, now, like, the young, that's the thing, bro. Like, the young, you feel me? The YNs, the youngins that see Joe Flacco now look at him as a scrub, second string vet quarterback. They don't know about the prime of this nigga. This nigga was a monster, bro. And he was scrambling around that time. The nigga, they don't even know that. Joe Flacco was running, nigga. Joe Flacco used to scramble, bro.
Between John and Jim. But after the Ravens got up 28-6 in the third quarter, the NFL rigged the lights to go out in the stadium to stall Baltimore's momentum, and the 49ers made a furious comeback. But Flacco and the Ravens were able to hold on 34-31, giving Ray Lewis his second ring and fooling some into thinking Joe Flacco was an elite quarterback. However, despite the loss, Kaepernick was suddenly one of the league's most feared players. But in 2013, it was all about the noise in Seattle. It was the year where a second-year quarterback, a fifth-round corner, and a head coach most people had written off built the most terrifying defense in over a decade and then trounced the greatest offense ever in the Super Bowl. This was one of the most exciting regular seasons of the decade as well, one that was packed with offense. Despite catching passes from 3 different quarterbacks, Josh Gordon led the league in receiving yards and posted back-to-back 200-yard games in one of the wildest receiver seasons ever. Peyton Manning, in his old age, threw for a record 5,477 yards and 55 touchdowns, won MVP, and made the Broncos look borderline unbeatable. He dismantled defenses, dropped 7 touchdowns in the season opener, and managed to feed double-digit scores to all of Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, Wes Welker, and Julius Thomas. Denver scored 606 points, the most ever in one season. Andy Reid took over a 2-14 Chiefs team, turned them into an 11-win playoff squad, with Jamal Charles racking up nearly 2,000 yards from scrimmage and 19 touchdowns.
Jamal Charles is the one nigga, bro. I love Jamal, but that nigga, bro. What's the clip? The little draft clip? The Kansas City Chiefs. Like, he was talking. Look, bro, I ain't making fun of nobody's speech, but, like, they was dead wrong for letting him read that draft pick, y'all. Matter of fact, let me reference this to y'all real quick so it don't look like I'm just making fun. Let me know if the NFL or the Chiefs were wrong about this. Look, when you type in Jamal Charles' name, highlights and all that. But when you type in his name, y'all let me see. Y'all tell me what's the first thing that y'all see that pop up right here. Y'all let me see, bro. Look at this. When you type in Jamal Charles, what's that say, y'all? That's how bad it is. This nigga was a legendary running back. They're not even saying highlights. The first thing that says Jamal Charles announces draft pick. So let's see what the fuck I was talking about. Let me know. And these niggas had him on the team. They knew how he talked and read. Not read. He can barely read. That's the problem. But this nigga is about to read this draft pick. Let's watch. Let me shut up.
Life's better when you're stuffed.
Shut the fuck up. Hell ad. Listen.
I'm happy to be here with a back-to-back Kansas City Chief. It's a trade. The San Francisco 49ers have traded a 63 pick to Kansas City Chief. With the 63 pick in the 24 draft, Kansas City select Kinsley Suamaia from BYU. Tackle. Let's go, Chief.
First of all, like I said, they're dead wrong. And this nigga could not put an S at the end of that. This nigga kept saying Chief. Nigga was saying singular. Nigga, it's a team.
Yeah.
Chiefs.
I'm happy to
Nigga
be
say
here
like
on the
it's just one
back-to-back Kansas
Chief.
City Chief. It's a trade. The San City 49.
See, they was dead wrong for that, bro. But he was a dog, like I said, bro. But letting him talk was like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Let's get back to the video now.
While Chip Kelly debuted with the Eagles and brought his up-tempo, college-style offense to the NFL, leading Philly to a division title. But up in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle was cooking up something just as scary. The Legion of Boom was their brand. Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, and Cam Chancellor patrolled the secondary. Bobby Wagner was in his second year, and Russell Wilson just kept winning. Seattle went 13-3, won the NFC, and hosted the NFC Championship game against the 49ers.
Guys, what team looks familiar? That almost in the Super Bowl again. The Niners get so close, bro. It's like, and it's fucked up because it's like they make it so close. So you gotta set, like, in reality, it's like these niggas have team over that's good, but it's like you're not gonna fully acknowledge it because these niggas lost, bro. And that shit is so crazy, bro. They were either in the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl, like, in so many years in the 2010s, bro.
Niners in what instantly became one of the most violent, emotional games of the decade. You remember Colin Kaepernick driving, looking for Crabtree in the end zone. Sherman tips it for a pick and then spews a wrestling promo. Then came Super Bowl 48.
What'd he say? Quit talking about me. She said, who? Sherman. Crabtree. That nigga was on bullshit. Nigga was raging. That nigga whined and raged.
The most hyped offense of all time versus one of the best defenses ever. And it was over immediately. Denver snapped the ball over Peyton's head for a safety to start the game, and it never got any better. Cam Chancellor laid the wood. Malcolm Smith had a pick six. Percy Harvin took the opening kick of the second half of the house, and the game ended up with a final score of 43.
This is a crazy score in the Super Bowl. Imagine you before the game, you're thinking this is the best team in the NFC and the best team in the AFC, head to head, and this is what the fuck happens. Football's so weird because Denver, quote unquote, like I said, came out of the AFC. They're supposed to be in the Super Bowl, the best out of the AFC, best against the NFC. There is a team that the Broncos, this is how weird football is. There's a team that the Broncos probably beat in this playoff run that would give the Seahawks a way better game than this. It's just weird as fuck like that, bro. Just any given day. And this day, them niggas got built on their motherfucking ass.
3-8. Seattle became the team of the NFL. They were young, loud, brash, but they had earned every right to talk. And Manning, after easily the best quarterback season ever, walked off the field humiliated. But in 2014, we all remember one play, one decision, and one moment. However, the year did have plenty else to offer. This was the most talent-rich season of the decade. Odell Beckham Jr. became a national...
This was another year. This is the year when we was supposed to fucking win. With Le'Veon, AB, we killer bees. Didn't get a fucking...
superstar with one...
AB was on a legendary run around this time too, by the way. That's another thing. The YNs and the youngins know AB as a fucking crash out, CTE field man. And this nigga was an all-star for so many years, leading the league in slot, short as fuck, outplaying tall-ass wideouts, tall cornerbacks. This nigga was in his bag. But now niggas know him as CTE field.
One Sunday night catch.
CTE field rapper.
J.J. Watt almost won MVP as a defensive end. Tony Romo had the best year of his life. Antonio Brown and Julio Jones were going toe-to-toe as the most dominant receivers of the decade. And Tom Brady, who many thought was slowing down, once again found another gear. And the next era of the Patriots dynasty. The regular season was packed with storylines. Aaron Rodgers won MVP with 38 touchdowns and just 5 picks, leading the Packers to a 12-4 record and another NFC North title. DeMarco Murray led the league in rushing with nearly 1,850
DeMarco
yards.
Murray, I forgot
The
about
Cowboys went
DeMarco
12-4 behind a monstrous offensive line and a revitalized Romo. Meanwhile, J.J. Watt was doing pretty much everything. Sacks, forced fumbles, defensive touchdowns, even catching touchdown passes as a tight end. But no story defined the season like the Seahawks. After crushing Denver the year before, Seattle started a little slow but finished strong. Their defense returned to form, Lynch kept trucking, and Russell Wilson made just enough plays to carry them through the NFC. And the NFC Championship was one of the wildest games of the decade. Green Bay dominated for 55 minutes, but then unraveled. A Seattle fake field goal touchdown, a botched onside kick recovery, leading to a Seahawks win in overtime. In the AFC, the Patriots were back. After a rough 2-2 start and people actually wondering if Brady was done, New England moved on to Cincinnati and torched the actually wondering if Brady was done.
You don't usually see a badass. That's a terrible stat line. Yeah, that's not a you don't see that too much with Brady. Stat line like this. Nigga threw more picks than a touchdown. $150 on a yards. He was low key, what's the word called? He was low key efficient though. Well, I guess you can't even say efficient with 2 picks though, so.
New England moved on to Cincinnati and torched the league the rest of the way with Gronk, Edelman, and a newly acquired Darrelle Revis. The AFC.
I forgot that even happened. That's one of them players where they be like, you forget they played. Until I just saw that, I forgot that Darrelle Revis even was a fucking Patriot. So that means Darrelle Revis is a Super Bowl champion. That's crazy as fuck. I did not know that. He deserved that though, bro, because he was elite. I'm talking about elite. What season was it? He had a crazy season, y'all. Hold on, bro. We gotta look, man. We got to look at. Hold on. He had a legendary season, bro. I'm trying to see which one it is. What was it? I think it was 09. It's 09 year, bro. Season. Okay, boom, bro. Here we go. Look at this shit, bro. And he was playing like top-notch receivers, bro. Hold on, bro. Where is that stat line? That shit blurry, nigga. I can't see that shit. Hold on. I'm trying to see like a little stat line, y'all, so y'all can see. Darrelle Revis had a crazy year, bro. He was locking up top #1 receivers every week. And it wasn't just like kinda. Like this nigga was like niggas not even getting 20 yards, bro. Pro bowlers locking them up like that, bro. Let's find that 2009 article, bro. Let's ask chat. Google don't know. It's coming to the point now, y'all. But ChatGPT got answered before Google do, and that's where they get it from, to be honest. But hold on. Oh, they called him. He was on Revis Island that year, bro. They call it Revis Island. He had 6 picks. Hold on. My bad, y'all, bro. I'm trying to find. It was like a picture. I done saw the picture where it shows. Okay, boom, y'all. Week 1, Andre Johnson of the fucking Texans. Held that nigga to 4 catches, 35 yards. Week 2, Randy Moss of the Patriots. This is the year where Randy Moss was going crazy, bro. He had like 20 plus touchdowns. Old and all with Brady, bro, where they lost to Eli now. 4 catches, 24 yards. Week 4, Marcus Colston. I forgot about Marcus Colston. He was the Saints wide receiver. 1. 2 catches, 33 yards. Week 6, T.O. Locked this nigga Terrell Owens up to 3 catches, 13 yards, bro. Week 8, Tag in. It's like, when you read these other names, of course, he gonna lock up Tag in. But still, nigga, 2 catches, 26 yards. And he had a pick 6 in the game, nigga. Week 9, Devon Best held him to 14 yards, 4 catches, 8 yards. Locked up Randy Moss again. 5 catches, 34 yards. Steve Smith only got 1 fucking catch, bro, against him for 5 yards. Locked up Steve Smith, a fucking Hall of Famer. Locked up T.O. again, 3 catches, 31 yards. Roddy White only got 4 catches, 33 yards. Reggie Wayne for the Colts, another Hall of Famer. Multi-time Pro Bowl. Held him to 3 catches, 33 yards. This is the crazy one of them all, bro. This nigga held Ocho Cinco in the wild card game. He held this nigga to nothing. Chad Ocho Cinco did not catch the ball. He had 2 targets and did get nothing. Donut. 0. Nigga hands did not secure a football the whole game. And then in the divisional round against Vincent Jackson, 2 catches. Crazy year, bro. Crazy as fuck. We're never gonna see it. I don't like, even with great cornerbacks, and we got some great ones out. You feel me? PS2, Sauce and all them, but nobody will ever probably be able to mimic a season nowhere close to that shit, bro. That nigga had a legendary ass season, bro, for a cornerback.
Title game was a 45-7 blowout win for the Pats over the Colts, but the story of this game would ultimately become Deflategate, with allegations surfacing that the Patriots had tampered with football pressure. But again, they won by 38, so on to Super Bowl 49 they went. And that was a game that was close as could be. It was one of the best games in NFL history, a back-and-forth battle that ended in a way that no one could have ever imagined. Seattle drove the length of the field with a chance to win, second and goal from the 1, and instead of giving it drove the length of the field with a chance to win, second and goal from the.
Look at this shit, bro. I don't give a fuck what defense they got, bro, or what defense is in front of him. You hand the ball to 24 and run this nigga in between and pick a fucking lineman, nigga. He would have got in that bitch. And it's a conspiracy around this game, bro, and I believe it, bro. Pete Carroll wanted to make that play because he wanted Russell Wilson to write off the game, bro. He wanted Russell Wilson to have a moment, bro. And anybody that knew about the Seahawks, you feel me, outside of Legion of Boom, which, you feel me, had a rep for them, nigga, it was beast mode, bro. Beast mode was that nigga for them, bro. And that's why I think it's hilarious when he said after this play, when they lost, he wasn't even worried about losing. Nigga walked up to Pete Carroll and said, ha, laughed at him. That nigga immediately traded that nigga. That nigga was a Raider by the next season.
1, and instead of giving it to Marshawn Lynch, they called a slant that Malcolm.
That play is so dumb, bro. It looks like the cornerback, bro. The nigga beat the fucking receiver to the spot, and the receiver bounced off of him. That's how bad of a play that was, bro. Fucking pistol formation, bro. You're supposed to put a fucking fullback in front of this nigga and run that nigga up the middle, bro. Point blank and serious. And they had 1 timeout left, and it was second and goal, bro. They still had more. It was just. Pete Carroll's a great coach, but this makes it like, this is a big mark on his coaching. Like, nigga, it's a fucking 10-year-old that could have drew up a play to win them a Super Bowl, a run play, and this nigga just fucked that shit all the way up, passing the ball. And it was on. This would have been a back-to-back year for them. They wanted. This would have been a back-to-back Super Bowl win for them too if they would have won.
From the 1, and instead of giving it to Marshawn Lynch, they called a slant that Malcolm Butler, an undrafted rookie, jumped and picked off to make it a 28-24 win for the Pats. Brady got his 4th ring, and Pete Carroll got a lifetime of regret.
I think it was devastated. Look at his face. supposed to do on your job, and you lose the fucking game because of dumbass coach decision, bro.
Brady was back on top, but the Seahawks were gutted.
Another one of the moments
That
I
one-yard
said, bro.
decision haunted the
Patriots are
franchise
good,
for years.
but shit just
It
gets
still
given
does.
to them, bro.
And as for Deflategate, it would hang over the NFL for many months to come. 2014 was truly unforgettable. But if you remember 2015, you remember Cam Newton either making you love or hate the dab, the smile, and the Superman chest rip. You remember a quarterback who looked like he was having more fun than anyone else in the league. The league he was utterly dominating all by himself. The Panthers went 15-1 without the
Cam Newton is always going to be one of my favorite quarterbacks because I just watched him from Auburn, and he really, like, this year, the year where they went, this is the year they talking about, he went crazy, bro. Even his first year, he won Rookie of the Year. They didn't do so well as a team, but, man, it's like people were hyping up Tebow, like I was saying earlier, bro, with that side-ass arm throw. But they were questioning Cam Newton's throwing ability, though. The nigga that throws, follows through normal and all that, they were questioning his shit, though. But thought Tebow was the next generational talent. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro.
their top receiver. But 2015 wasn't all.
Nigga made Ted Ginn, and I don't even know the other receivers that he had. And I'm a Buckeye fan. I love Ted Ginn, but he made Ted Ginn look like fucking Jerry Rice. That's how good Cam Newton is. Do your research, bro.
All sunshine and rainbows. It was also the beginning of the end for one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Peyton Manning was officially breaking down before our eyes. His arm was shot and his body was giving out. But back to Newton, he won MVP in a landslide, throwing for 35 touchdowns, rushing for 10 more, and he led a
6'6".
Hi. Hi.
Tackle that.
Chocolate fundraiser.
With the Chase mobile app, things move a little more smoothly. Deposit checks easily and send money.
Panthers offense that didn't have a single elite wide receiver. Greg Olsen was his best weapon as Kelvin Benjamin tore his ACL.
He had Greg Olsen, but shit, niggas still didn't have too much to work with compared to the teams around the league at the time that had a lot to work with, and he's just whooping their ass.
In the preseason. Yet Cam didn't let that matter. Carolina's defense, led by
Nigga hurdled over his own lineman. Like I told you, this nigga 6'6", 230-something pounds, and doing moves like this.
tore his ACL in the preseason. Yet Cam didn't let
Nigga hurdled over his own lineman, bruh.
that matter. Carolina's defense, led by Luke
so
Kuechly,
fun
Josh
watching Cam
Norman, and
Newton,
Thomas
bro.
Davis, was just as good too, forcing turnovers, scoring touchdowns, and playing with
They
the same
defense was
emotion
raw, too.
Cam brought to the offense. They steamrolled the NFC, dropping 49 on poor
Look at that angle. You gotta look at that angle.
emotion Cam brought to
No
the
blaze.
offense.
But this look
They
at this.
steamrolled the NFC.
Nigga hurdled over a whole blocking altercation. Nigga hurdled both of them. Big as hell. Olsen in the background already saw this before in practice hella times. He knew what was going on. Nigga called the touchdown before the touchdown happened.
Dropping 49 on poor Arizona in the NFC
L26, nigga. Why didn't you do
offense. They
See, look, that's how I said it. NFL was different, bro. A nigga doing that now would get suspended and fined like a motherfucker. This L26, this nigga hit him when he was already in the end zone and he couldn't even defend himself. Nigga just hit him just cuz, nigga.
steamrolled the
That's the football that I know. Hit a nigga just cuz, nigga. Hit a nigga cuz we got equipment on and we on the field, nigga.
NFC.
Look at this nigga. He knew he was in the touchdown. Nigga said, fuck it. Let me get my lick in.
Dropping 49 on poor Arizona.
Hit this nigga completely upside. This angle looks crazy. This looks like this nigga about to break his fucking neck. Let's say that. L26. Nigga try to end his career low key.
Arizona in the NFC Championship. The only bump in the road all year was a near upset to the Giants, where Odell Beckham Jr. and Josh Norman were just obsessed with each other the entire game. Meanwhile, in the AFC, the Broncos were winning, but in a much different way than they had in the years prior. Peyton Manning got benched, injured, and threw twice as many interceptions as touchdowns, and was frankly cooked. Brock Osweiler stepped in, but would eventually relinquish the job back to Peyton via injury. However, the real story was their generational defense. Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, and an elite secondary coined the no-fly zone. In the AFC title game, it was
good as
Manning
fuck,
versus
bro.
Brady
You
for the
cannot-
17th.
Around that time, that defense was raw as hell. That's another like a situation with Aaron Rodgers. Their offense had a Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame quarterback, but their defense carried, nigga. You did not want to throw the ball against this Broncos team around this time, bro. They had to lead. Somebody else in their secondary. I think this might have been after Champ Bailey, but nonetheless, bro, niggas had them dogs on defense, bro.
And final time. Denver won 20-18, stopping Brady on a 2-point try after a late touchdown. But given the diminished state of Peyton Manning, many were all but handing Cam Newton the Lombardi Trophy heading into Super Bowl 50. However,
Need them to
Denver's
win so
defense had
bad,
other plans.
bruh. Their
Von
defense
Miller
was too
absolutely
good,
could
bro.
not be stopped, forcing 2 fumbles, one of which was returned for a touchdown. Cam got sacked 6 times.
Getting sacked 6 times is fucking outrageous. And it's like their offensive line wasn't that. Okay. This pause didn't help because nigga, who the flying fuck? Y'all see the mouse, right? Who the hell was he blocking? What are you looking at, nigga? What is he doing? What, like, was you just waiting to see, like, this nigga glitch? This nigga's battery, the controller batteries ran out on this player. Because what are you doing? There's nobody in front of you. Who were you defending? Let me know. This is that play, bro. See,
times and never got in rhythm. He didn't dive for a loose ball.
It's controversy, big controversy around this play. And there's a lot of people that don't let Cam Newton live till this day about this play. How I feel, bro? I feel like, yeah, he should at least dove on it. Was it an awkward way of diving on a ball and risking it? Yeah. But it's the Super Bowl, bro. I feel like it was a decision he could have made better, but I just don't like how they base his whole career off of this play. They cover up all the greatness that he did, the rookie of the year, like all the run, like this shit he did is outshadowed from this play, bro. I just don't like how they do that shit.
After one of his fumbles in the 4th quarter, and people never let him forget it. The Panthers scored just 10 points. That dab disappeared, and Peyton Manning walked off into the sunset with his 2nd ring. Cam Newton was never quite the same. He'd have moments, but 2015 was by far his peak. Von Miller won Super Bowl MVP, and a truly dominant all-time defense took the crown for the 2nd time in the decade. But in 2016, you may recall one particular score associated with the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history, or one of the most unthinkable choke jobs, depending on your perspective, along with Colin Kaepernick sparking a national firestorm by kneeling during the national anthem to protest racial. Not Brady, Manning.
That nigga took a kneel and nothing was the same after that shit.
Your perspective, along with Colin Kaepernick sparking a.
That nigga took the kneel. He didn't know the minute he got up from that kneel, nigga, your life changed, nigga. Damn, I remember how much they made a big ass deal about this shit too, bro. He stood on his, one thing about it, bro, he stood on that shit, bro. And he really did not play another snap in the NFL after that shit, bro. It's crazy as fuck.
A national firestorm by kneeling during.
They don't even talk about the nigga beside him. Who is he? I bet you he still played in the NFL after, but him? Woo, they crucified Kaepernick after this shit, bro.
The national anthem to protest racial injustice. But believe it or not, there were other football games that took place in 2016. It was a season flush with exciting developments. The Cowboys became America's team once again thanks to 2 rookies, and even the Raiders were back. But the year started with Brady on the shelf, not for injury, but serving a 4-game suspension for allegedly playing a role in Deflategate. Jimmy Garoppolo started strong, got hurt, and then Jacoby Brissett stepped in. The Patriots went 3-1 without Brady, and when he returned, it was personal. He threw 28 touchdowns to just 2 picks over 12 games. New England went 14-2 and steamrolled.
Don't show my Steelers, man. How about y'all just skip this?
Into the playoffs. But Brady was not the MVP. That honor went to Matt Ryan, who finally put it all together in year 9. With Kyle
Yeah,
Shanahan
another
calling the
one.
plays,
Look,
Ryan threw
another
for nearly
example.
5,000
The
yards and
Falcons and
38
Patriots Super
touchdowns.
Bowl.
Julio
Like I
Jones
said,
was at
the
the peak of his
Patriots are good,
powers, and
nigga.
Devonta Freeman and
But they
Tevin Coleman
just
made
get
for an elite
lucky
backfield
ass
committee.
shit
The Falcons
given
led the
to
league
them
in
around
scoring,
this time,
dropped
bro.
34 points per game,
There was
and
no
looked
way
ready
Atlanta
to
was
finally
supposed to
win their
choke
first
like
ring in
that
franchise
bad, nigga.
history. In Dallas, the Cowboys went from worst to first. Tony Romo got hurt in the preseason, and suddenly it was the Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott show. Dak, a fourth-round rookie, played like a 10-year vet, and Zeke led the league in rushing. The Cowboys went 13-3, won the NFC East, and had an offensive line equipped to dominate for years. That was until Aaron Rodgers cut their heart out in the divisional round with that sideline laser to Jared Cook. But the NFC Championship was a romp as Atlanta buried the Packers. And over in the AFC, the Patriots handled the Texans and then survived the Steelers to reach their 7th Super Bowl under
Another
Belichick
one,
and Brady.
Man, we were supposed to be in a Super Bowl, bruh. It's been so many times, bro. We were so close. So close. Brady didn't stop us from a couple of them, too, man.
And Super Bowl 51 started like a dream for Atlanta. They led 28-3 midway through the third quarter. Then
And y'all can fact check this if y'all want to. Matt Ryan, nigga, not only has the biggest like choke job in the Super Bowl. You can look this up. I'm telling you, you can look it up. He's not only the quarterback that had the biggest comeback on Super Bowl history, but regular season too, nigga. A few years ago when Matt Ryan was a Colts, I bet y'all didn't know that. He was a Colts quarterback. This nigga had a team come back on him badly. And at the end of the game, they said that this is the biggest regular season comeback ever, you feel me, done on him. So this nigga has 2 records, and he's on the bad side of them bitches. The regular season and Super Bowl comebacks, and he wasn't the nigga coming back. S-tier choker right there. Pause.
Then, as we all probably know, Dante Hightower strip sack, Pat's touchdown, Julio made the catch of the year, but Shanahan called
I
a pass
remember
play
that,
on
bro.
3rd and short
Julio,
instead of
man.
running and
He
kicking
just
the
retired
game-sealing
this year,
field
too,
goal,
man.
which then led to a hold, a sack, and a punt.
Future Hall of
Brady
Famer,
led
I
scoring
say.
drive after scoring drive to end up with a 34-28 overtime win. The Patriots scored 31 unanswered points. Brady had his 5th ring, and the GOAT conversation was officially over. Kyle Shanahan moved on to San Francisco, and the Falcons' window slammed shut. Matt Ryan had one MVP, but it was meaningless after the way that season ended.
Yeah.
But in 2017, a backup quarterback, who was the worst quarterback in the NFL 2 years earlier, outdueled the GOAT on the grandest stage. And Minneapolis.
Damn, I forgot. Yeah, damn. When the last time an NFL team went back-to-back? Because there's been a couple times it could have happened in my lifetime, and them niggas blew it. Because the Patriots could have just repeated, I forgot, and that's when the Eagles whooped their ass with Nick fucking Foles. And to be honest, I only know who that is because the Eagles won. If that nigga was just a normal, like the Eagles didn't make, I would have never knew who the fuck Nick Foles is, bro.
Got a miracle with a backup of their own. The script that Goodell and his boys cooked up got tossed in the garbage. Carson Wentz was supposed to win MVP. Deshaun Watson was supposed to take over. Aaron Rodgers was cooking. And then they all got hurt. It was the year of next man up. Carson Wentz was the story of the season. In just his 2nd year, he had the Eagles rolling. He threw 33 touchdowns in 13 games, was the runaway MVP favorite, and had Philly sitting at 11-2. Then, in Week 14, he tore his ACL diving into the end zone against the Rams. Just like that, Nick Foles entered the picture. And everyone suspected Philly's season was over. In Houston, a rookie Deshaun Watson was decimating the NFL, throwing 18 touchdowns from Week 3 to Mario Manningham.
Fuck. I hate this double-click mouse, bro. It's good though, we can get back pretty easy.
NFL, throwing 18 touchdowns from Week 3. Rookie Deshaun Watson was decimating the NFL.
Decimated massages too, huh? It's a decimator. Decimator, man.
Throwing 18 touchdowns from Week 3 to Week 8 before a torn ACL in practice ended what was going to be a season for the history books. In Green Bay, Anthony Barr shattered Aaron Rodgers' collarbone, and even in Seattle, the Legion of Boom succumbed to injury. But of course, Tom Brady stood tall. At 40 years old, he led the league in passing yards and won MVP once again. The Patriots went 13-3, making it look routine as they always did. The Vikings, with Case Keenum leading the charge following a Sam Bradford injury, went 13-3 as well. And the Rams, who went 4-12 in 2016, transformed instantly under new head coach Sean McVay. But no one could have predicted what happened in the playoffs. In the divisional round, the Minneapolis Miracle took place. With 10 seconds left, Case Keenum threw a prayer to Stephon Diggs, Marcus Williams whiffed on the tackle, and Diggs sprinted down the sideline for the game winner, advancing Minnesota to the NFC Championship, where the Eagles blew their doors off. Foles threw for 352 yards and 3 touchdowns, and at that point, it should have been obvious how for real this team was. In the AFC, Blake Bortles and the Jaguars rode a dominant defense and a shockingly effective playoff run all the way to the conference championship, but ultimately fell to New England. Super Bowl 52 was a shootout for the ages. Brady threw for 505 yards. The Patriots didn't punt once, and still lost. The Eagles pulled out every trick, including the Philly special, a gutsy 4th down touchdown pass to Foles before halftime. The game came down to one final stop, where Brandon Graham strip-sacked Brady, and that just about did it. Tom Brady was brilliant, but Foles became a Philly legend, winning Super Bowl MVP. Doug Peterson outcoached Belichick, and the Eagles had their first Lombardi trophy in franchise history. But Carson Wentz was never the same. However, in 2018,
nigga try to hold a trophy up, nigga. I mean, you had something to do with the season, but nigga, that's Foles' trophy, nigga.
But Carson Wentz,
nigga, hell, nigga, I took him here, but didn't play anywhere like half of the season and the playoffs. If I'm Nick Foles, I'm snatching that bitch. Me, holding that bitch there. Me, nigga, not him.
was never the same.
He was never the same after that.
However, in 2018, we got fireworks the likes of which we hadn't seen since 2013, as well as Tom Brady's greatest challenger since Peyton Manning. It was a year headlined by Patrick Mahomes and the Los Angeles Rams. In his first year as the starter, Mahomes won MVP. Playing quarterback,
that's crazy. I forgot that happened. And why the fuck do y'all keep showing the Steeler highlights of us doing bad? But you know what's crazy? I knew how legendary it was. I probably knew, but I just didn't put it like, I don't know. Him winning the MVP of the league his first year starting is fucking crazy, bro.
In a way we had never seen. He threw for 5,097 yards and 50 touchdowns with throws across his body, no-look passes, and left-handed flicks. He turned every Chiefs game into a can't-miss event. Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill were in their absolute primes. And no disrespect to Alex Smith, but Andy Reid finally had a quarterback who could execute any play in his book. The Chiefs finished 12-4, with one of the losses coming in a 54-51 war against the Rams, where Goff and Mahomes traded blows all night, a game that is considered by many to be the greatest regular season bout of all time.
Hell yeah.
But
51 niggas had a fucking... This is not basketball score. They just had a higher... It wasn't a normal football score, nigga.
Kansas City locked up the 1 seed nonetheless. Le'Veon Bell sat out the entire 2018 season in a contract dispute, ending his time with the Steelers. And after missing all of 2017, Andrew Luck returned triumphantly, throwing for 39 touchdowns and leading the Colts back to the playoffs. However, the AFC still belonged to Tom Brady. The Patriots, despite some regular season turbulence, won 11 games, got the 2 seed, and turned into a machine in January.
Turbulence. What are we talking about here?
Per usual. Over in the NFC, the Bears acquired Khalil Mack from the Raiders, and he immediately transformed their defense, helping them win the NFC North. While the Saints were dominant, Drew Brees was the MVP runner-up, Michael Thomas caught every quick slant in sight, Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram were a two-headed monster, leading New Orleans to the number 1 seed. And the Rams matched their 13-3 record.
Franklin University makes it possible.
Be unstoppable with an online master's degree from Franklin University. Franklin's in-demand master's program.
Record. Sean McVay's offense was humming with Goff and Todd Gurley, but Wade Phillips also had a defense led by Aaron Donald, who won Defensive Player of the Year for the 2nd year in a row. The NFC Championship game was a classic that became forever tarnished at the end. With under 2 minutes left, the Rams committed a blatant pass interference but did not receive a flag. The Saints had to settle for a field goal.
No call. And the referee being right there, god damn, how much they pay that nigga? Because that is, when you type in pass interference, that should be the video that would come up. This nigga hit that nigga before the ball even got anywhere close to his ass. God damn.
Pass interference.
God damn. The ball is nowhere, bro. Yeah, that's a crazy no call.
But did not receive a flag. The Saints had to settle for a field goal. The Rams tied it and then won in overtime. In the AFC, the Patriots and Chiefs went back and forth in a frigid Arrowhead. Mahomes was brilliant, but it wasn't enough to overcome Dee Ford's boneheaded offsides penalty that cost Kansas City a game-sealing pick. It ended in a 37-31 overtime Pats win. Then came Super Bowl 53, and after a year of offensive explosions, it was an ugly one. Belichick's defense choked the life out of McVay's Rams to win 13-3, the lowest scoring Super Bowl of all time. Julian Edelman won MVP almost by default, Brady got ring number 6, and Sean McVay got a harsh lesson in postseason football from Bill Belichick. Patrick Mahomes was clearly the future, but Brady was still the best there was. But in 2019, the greatest running quarterback in NFL history burst onto the scene. Antonio Brown melted down after a trade to Oakland, ended up getting released, and then had one game with the Patriots before again getting cut. Ryan Tannehill, of all people, beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. Michael Thomas broke the NFL record with 149 catches. Christian McCaffrey had a historic season, catching 116 passes and totaling nearly 2,400 yards from scrimmage. And Jimmy G led a stacked 49ers team. Not only was 2019 the end of this decade, but it also coincided with the end of the best quarterback generation. Brady was fading, or at least people thought he was this year. Drew Brees was on his last leg, Eli was on his way out, as was Phillip Rivers, and a new wave of young signal callers was invading the NFL. No one expected Lamar Jackson to be like this. Sure, people thought he fell too far in the draft, and he'd been fun in 2018 after he supplanted Joe Flacco. But in 2019, he became a truly one-of-a-kind quarterback. He led the league in touchdown passes with 36, while placing 6th in rushing with over 1,200 yards. The Ravens retooled their offense around him, and it worked beautifully. Baltimore finished 14-2, secured the number 1 seed, and Lamar joined Brady as the second ever unanimous MVP. But as we've become all too accustomed to with Lamar, in the divisional round, the 9-7 Titans stomped Baltimore behind Derrick Henry's 195 yards, mercilessly ending the Ravens' dominant season. And then they waltzed into Foxborough and ended Tom Brady's year as well. Over in the NFC, Jameis Winston became the first quarterback to ever throw 30 touchdowns and 30 picks in the same season.
That is crazy, bro. Again, imagine being on the record books, but nigga, it is not a good reason. Nigga threw a total of 30 picks and 30 touchdowns. It's like 30 is a good amount of touchdowns, but nigga, when you put the interceptions with it, nigga, god damn. Shit. I think this is around the time, I think they were saying he couldn't see or something. I don't know. They're making up excuses around the time. Once again, I keep catching us losing. Look at the bottom. This game, during this game, who's losing? It's the Niners. Damn, we was 0-2 too.
Pure comedy every week. But more importantly, the 49ers were back. After just having selected Nick Bosa with the number 2 overall pick, Kyle Shanahan was operating the best all-around team in the NFL. They literally ran through the playoffs, including a blowout win over the Packers where Jimmy G only threw 8 passes, as Raheem Mostert ran free for 220 yards and 4 scores. But the real story was Kansas City. After falling short in 2018, Mahomes came back with the chip on his shoulder that he needed. The Chiefs' playoff run became legend. Down 24-0 to Houston? Not a problem. They scored 51. Down 17-7 to Tennessee? That didn't matter either. On to Super Bowl 54 they went. And the 49ers had Mahomes on the ropes once again. Down 20-10 in the fourth quarter, it was looking bleak for the Chiefs. Until a 44-yard bomb to Tyreek on 3rd and 15 led to 3 touchdowns in 5 minutes. Garoppolo had a chance to take the game back with a minute and a half left, but infamously overthrew what would have been a 49-yard Emmanuel Sanders touchdown, and the Chiefs won 31-20, with Mahomes earning Super Bowl MVP and Andy Reid finally taking home the championship that had eluded him for 2 decades. In the aftermath, Brady finally left New England for the Sunshine State, and Mahomes was the new face of the NFL. And the Chiefs officially kicked off the next great NFL dynasty. 2019 ended the decade with one era of quarterbacks dying out and another being born. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, I think you'll like this one too.
Sir, W video.